Medium-length hairstyles that add volume to fine or thinning hair. You want volume, but you don't want short. You want movement, but not a layered mess that needs a blowout. You want to keep your medium-length hair, but right now, it's just sitting there, flat, lifeless, like it gave up before you even got dressed. Thinning hair doesn't just mean less hair. It means your crown collapses. Your sides hang limp. Your whole silhouette starts shrinking. And suddenly, your earrings are doing all the work. And here's the kicker. The more you try to style it, the worse it behaves. Heat makes it brittle. Sprays weigh it down. And cutting it short? That's not the answer. Not when you still love having hair that moves. In this video, I'll show you 6 medium-length haircuts designed to do one thing: visibly lift fine or thinning hair without cutting it all off. These aren't trendy salon experiments. They're smart, flattering shapes that add volume at the crown, fullness at the sides, and softness around the face. Your hair doesn't need to be young. It just needs to feel like you again. So let's start where volume disappears first and matters most: the crown. The crown lifting shag. We were taught that volume came from effort, blow dryers, root lifting sprays, teasing combs. But here's a truth nobody advertised. The right cut can do what all that styling never could, and it starts at the crown. Enter the crown lifting shag, a medium-length cut with soft, invisible layers that begin right at the top of your head and fall outward like gentle ripples. Not harsh, not edgy, just smart architecture built into your hair. Those subtle layers push the crown upward, not in a stiff, teased way, but with air and softness. They create lift from within, without exposing your scalp or adding weight to the rest of your head. You still get your medium length, brushing your collarbone or even a bit longer. But now the volume starts at the root, where it was missing most. This kind of lift changes everything, because when the crown goes flat, everything goes flat. Your silhouette slouches, your profile sinks inward. You start compensating with earrings, scarves, collars, anything to add presence again. But when the top of your head has shape and height, suddenly your whole look feels upright, intentional, confident. I've seen women try this cut and look visibly taller, not in height, but in energy. They stand straighter. Their jawline looks sharper. Their hair finally supports their presence instead of sinking it. And the best part, it doesn't require a single hot tool. You can air dry, tousle with your fingers, and walk out the door with natural lift that actually lasts. Because volume at 60 doesn't come from teasing. It comes from understanding shape. Ready to shift the focus from the top down? Let's talk about what happens when the sides of your face start to disappear into thinning strands. That's where our next cut steps in. The face framing lob with textured ends. You ever look in the mirror and feel like your face has no anchor anymore? Like it's just there, floating in space? Your hair still medium length, sure. But around the face, it's faded, thinned out, barely holding shape. And that small change, it throws everything off. When the strands around your cheeks and jaw start disappearing, your features lose their frame. Your jaw looks sharper, but not in a good way. Your eyes look tired. Your whole face feels like it's receding, even if you're still wearing lipstick and earrings like armor. That's where the face-framing lob with textured ends quietly works its magic. It's not loud, it's not trendy, but it brings back something crucial: structure with softness. The cut usually falls just above or below the collarbone, right in that zone that flatters almost every neckline. But the real magic happens in how it shapes your face. Instead of pulling everything back or letting it hang limp, the stylist adds gentle, curved layers that start near your cheekbones and taper into your jaw. They're subtle, but they pull the eye upward and soften the sharp edges time can bring. And the ends? They're broken up just enough to move. Not choppy, not frizzy, just enough lightness so the hair doesn't drag your face downward. It doesn't scream new haircut, but it quietly says, she looks refreshed. This cut is for the woman who still loves her medium length but wants to stop hiding behind it. It brings the focus back to your face, not your styling struggles. You can wear it tucked behind the ear, blown out, air-dried, and still look like you showed up on purpose. Because sometimes the confidence isn't in how much hair you have, it's in how it frames who you are. Now, let's talk about the kind of cut that thickens your whole look, not just the front. Number 3. The feathered midi with S-curve layers. This cut moves like a whisper, but speaks volumes. Light flicks of hair near the shoulders, gentle curves along the sides. It doesn't shout for attention, but it makes thinning hair look full again. Naturally full. One woman I know wore the same blunt cut for 15 years. Not because she loved it, but because it was safe. Until one day, her daughter snapped a photo of her from the back, and she gasped. Is that what my hair looks like? So flat? She didn't need more product. She needed more movement. That's when her stylist gave her a feathered midi with S-curve layers, and everything shifted. This cut sits at a true mid-length, past the shoulders, but not quite long. It gives you room to play. Tie it up, leave it loose, add a soft wave. But the genius is in the layering. These aren't the short, bouncy layers of the 90s. They're longer, curved pieces that follow the natural bend of your head, creating S-shaped movement from crown to collarbone. What does that do? It blurs the eye. Instead of seeing through your hair, people notice shape, flow, soft lift. Suddenly, thin areas look like intentional lightness, not loss. And because the layers fall in a curved path, not straight down, they stop your hair from clumping together or hanging in one block. Even on a no-wash day, it still looks like it has form. There's a kind of grace to this shape. It doesn't demand styling, just a little tousle with your fingers, maybe a round brush at the ends if you feel fancy. But more than that, it brings back a feeling that many women lose after 60, the sense that your hair has motion, life, a little flirt to it, because the opposite of thin isn't thick, it's dimensional. And this cut gives you that, in the softest, smartest way. Now, if you're not quite ready to feather it out, what if you could get built-in volume without layering at all? 4. The Volume Bob Hybrid. Short hair is easier. Really? Easier than what? Dealing with 2 inches of lift that only last 5 minutes? Easier than waking up looking like a dandelion got in a fistfight? Let's be honest. A lot of women cut their hair short because they think that's the only way to get volume. And it can work. Until it starts to look like a helmet. Too round, too tight. And suddenly, your head looks bigger than your shoulders. But not in a flattering way. So what if you could get bob-level bounce without losing your medium length? Meet the Volume Bob Hybrid, a structured cut that hits just above the shoulders, but with enough internal layering to lift the hair from underneath. Here's what makes it different. Instead of stacking all the weight at the back like a classic bob, this version redistributes volume through the midsections, giving the illusion of fullness without bulk. It still has clean edges, but the shape isn't boxy. It curves with your head. It moves when you do, and because it's not too short, it doesn't make your neck feel exposed or overly practical. You can still wear statement earrings, still tuck it behind your ears, still feel a little swing when you walk. But the best part? It lifts from the root, naturally, without needing mousse, rollers, or an entire wrist workout. Just a simple blow dry or even air dry, and the shape holds. This cut is for the woman who wants volume, but refuses to be cornered into short and sensible. It's polished without being stiff, structured without screaming, "I give up." And if you've been growing your hair out just to prove something to yourself, this might be the perfect middle ground. Let's move from bounce to balance. What if your hair could frame your face and hide a high forehead in one soft, sweeping motion? 5. The Midi cut with side-swept bangs. We were taught to keep our hair neat, off the face, out of the way, nothing too fussy. Translation: don't draw attention. But what if drawing attention, gently, intentionally, is exactly what flat, thinning hair needs? That's where the Midi cut with side-swept bangs quietly breaks the old rule. And suddenly, that wide forehead, that sparse hairline you've been trying to ignore, they stop being problems. They become part of the style. Let's start with the length. This cut sits just past the shoulders, still in the medium zone, but keeps the weight light and mobile. Then right at the front, a soft, angled fringe starts around the part and sweeps diagonally across the forehead. It's not heavy. It doesn't scream bangs. It whispers shape. And it does a lot more than just cover skin. That diagonal line cuts across the broadest part of your face, softening a high forehead, balancing longer features, and giving movement where hair tends to lie limp. It also creates an instant point of focus, pulling the eye toward your eyes, your cheekbone, your smile. No makeup trick required. Even better, it gives structure without commitment. You can brush it aside, pin it back, let it air dry into a natural swoop. There's no high maintenance, no growing out nightmare, just a built-in softness that keeps your face from looking bare. And for women who've been told bangs are too youthful, too trendy, too high maintenance, let's rewrite that. Because these bangs don't belong to 20-somethings. They belong to women who've earned the right to frame their face however they damn well please. You don't have to hide your forehead, but you can soften it and feel just a little more in control when you look in the mirror. Now, let's talk about the back of your head. Number 6. The layered collarbone cut with hidden stacking. More length doesn't always mean more hair. In fact, if you've ever seen the back of your head look like it's melting into your shoulders, you know what I mean. That's the sneaky part about thinning hair. You focus on the front, the crown, the sides, the part, and forget that the back is where your shape lives. If there's no lift there, your whole silhouette goes soft. Not romantic soft, flat soft. That's where the layered collarbone cut with hidden stacking quietly comes in and fixes everything. It's not a dramatic cut. From the front, it looks like a classic collarbone skimming style. A little movement, a little texture. But from the back, there's intention. A few carefully placed stacked layers near the nape create a gentle buildup of shape, giving your head actual structure without adding bulk. This hidden stacking isn't the kind you see in edgy cuts or exaggerated bobs. It's light, invisible to most eyes, but it makes the hair curve outwards slightly as it falls, instead of collapsing flat against the back of your neck. The result? A lifted neckline, a rounded silhouette, hair that moves away from your head instead of clinging to it like cling wrap. It's especially powerful for women who feel like they're losing volume at the back, but don't want to cut it short. You still get your length, but now it works for you. And let's be honest, no one talks about the back, but it's the part people actually see when you walk away. It's the difference between she looks tired and she looks put together. If your hair has been looking fine from the front, but unfinished from behind, this cut ties it all together, literally. So now we've lifted the crown, framed the face, added movement through the middle, softened the forehead, and restored shape from the back. What does that add up to? Let's zoom out and talk about what all this really changes. And it's not just your hair. 6 haircuts, 1 goal: to bring your hair back to life without giving up the length you love. Maybe your crown was falling flat. Maybe your sides disappeared into your cheeks. Or maybe you didn't even notice how much your silhouette had shrunk until something felt off. But now, you've seen what a good cut can actually do. Not hide your age, not fake thickness, Just give your hair the structure it needs to show up for you again. Because you don't need to look younger. You just need hair that reflects how present, visible, and powerful you still are. So which one of these spoke to you? Let us know in the comments, or just take a screenshot to show your stylist. Either way, remember, the right haircut doesn't change who you are. It just brings her forward.